What's up guys, Fortexfiend here, welcome back again to my channel with some more content on SD Gundam G Generation Eternal, where I'm going to be giving you guys my banner review for the recent banner that we got featuring Double X and Virsago chest break. Now, you're probably looking at my diamonds and saying, I thought you were going to save. Well, I kind of got really interested in Garrod because of the fact that he can actually use a map attack for free without using any energy with that one skill that he has that's unique to him currently. But unfortunately, it's Gacha life, and I got shafted, so it's back to saving for me, and hopefully I can, hold my trigger finger when it comes to pulling, because I really should be saving for the anniversary. But that's that, guys. Anyways, before I get started, you guys know the drill. If you enjoy what you see on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, like or dislike, and comment down below what you guys think about the units, and if you pulled, what are your experiences with them so far. So we're going to go ahead and go into featured. I'm going to go ahead and address the plethora of new SSRs that they dropped along with some new pilots. I think it's cool that they put this in here. It's also trying to entice you to pull because, this is our first official Gundam X related banner, and we don't really have too much available with Gundam X prior, so I think that's kind of like the incentive that you have if you actually decide to pull, is you get some new units and new pilots. The one that really stood out for me is gonna have to be the G Falcon Leopard. As you can see, it possesses a up to a range 5 skill and a range 4. They have okay power, but the fact that it is range is a plus for me because I like keeping my units at range unless it's Burning Gundam, because he's the exception. And, kind of like keeping out of like the enemy's, counterattack range. So that way I'm maximizing my damage while I'm also staying away from harm's way, right? And the other thing that I also really like is the pilot actually has a double chance step, as you can see right here, when piloting units from specified series. So you just got to stick him in a After War Gundam X unit and you should be good to go. So out of the new SSRs, that one is the one that sticks out to me the most. The one that I think is, I would say I would prize it the highest value of the new SSRs. Okay, so the ship is not limited. I love that it has HP restoration. And as you can see right here, it supports 2 different things. So if you are using units of the After War Gundam X, you get a stat increase of 28%. However, if they have both the After War Gundam X series and Freeden, you get a 44%. So for a non-limited, it's actually pretty solid, but keep in mind, it is very specific to those things. So it's really only useful if you're going to be running like a full Gundam X team or like a Freeden team or a mix of both, is that's where you're going to really benefit. But the plus for me is that it's HP restoration, and right now, to this day, while this game has still been going on, HP restoration is still largely much better than energy restoration. So for a non-limited ship, I would say it's pretty good. It's pretty good, and if you manage to pull it, it'll serve you specifically for Gundam X related content. Okay, Shagia Frost and Gundam Virsago chest break. Let's take a look at the pilot first. Honestly, I think the pilot is very standard in my opinion. He has range boost, which boosts his range damage. It's always nice. And he has sway, so he has a way to kind of keep himself alive, which is important, because for your supports, you kind of want to keep them there, so that way you could chain your attacks with your actual attackers. Save energy is all right. Again, I would have preferred something else that he would have gotten. Maybe something that, maybe like an HP restoration or something like that. But he does have sway, so that's that. I'd say he's middle of the road kind of a deal. If you take a look at his actual passives, he gets an increase by 20% when he support attacks or counters, which is always nice. He's dealing a little bit more damage. He increases his own rage and melee by 20%, and he does have double support attack and counter, which is always nice. But that's to be expected for UR units and pilots. And then when he's piloting anything from Gundam X, you get that standard passive of dealing more damage and reducing damage, and then he gets another increase to his range. So the pilot is kind of middle of the road. We've seen something like this before, probably even better. But if you pull him, you have something that you could use in Gundam X related content, and you got yourself another support pilot. In terms of his actual mobile suit, so I love the whole map attack thing. I love how he has a map attack. It has a pretty good coverage, and it has an ammo of 2, and it also does have a debuff that inflicts, damage taken from special weapons, which is always nice to have. And then his other skill that sticks out is going to be his EX skill. It has a range of 5, which is great for positioning, and it does increase the damage taken from beam weapons by 35%. So that combination is actually pretty solid, because a majority of these EX skills, especially from our attackers, tend to be one or the other, or sometimes both. So I think those are pretty good skills. And then, as you could see, you got some great terrain capabilities right over there. In terms of his abilities, increased mobility, so maybe he has a natural, higher natural chance of being able to potentially dodge. He has energy regen and also increased attack by 5%. And then if we take a look at the details right here, as you can see, some of the tags that stand out is going to be Specialized Unit, Alternative Series, Rival, Unstoppable is a fantastic tag as well. So if you're running like an Unstoppable team and you pull him, you have another potential support unit that you could use in an Unstoppable team. But my thoughts on Virsago and Shagia, I think that, again, they're solid, they're middle of the road, but nothing special that we haven't seen before. The prize of the banner is obviously going to be Gundam XX and Garrod. So Garrod has a very unique skill that I'm a big fan of, which is why I caved and tried to pull him, but I didn't get him. But he has a skill that allows him to use a map attack for free without consuming energy. Now, this can only occur once per battle, but just think about the amount of shenanigans that you could do with him, especially when we take a look at the coverage for the map attack for his Gundam XX. It's quite wide, and then there's other things that you could stick him in, like this, like Gundam GPO2 Physalis is another fantastic one. You can run him on like some of the Meteor, like Freedom units, because they have that AoE attack. He's also going to be a solid choice for that. And then his other skills is range boost and also boosting his range by 1. So if you need to extend the range of his attack skills for a turn, that's something that can also be very useful. So you're keeping him at range and keeping him, out of harm's way. In terms of his actual abilities, he has some pretty good ones for a, damage dealing unit, increased OD damage dealt, increased range damage. And then if he's using a unit of the flash system, he's going to increase his MP. So he gets that, that burst damage right off the bat. He has increased damage dealt to enemy and also reduced damage, which I think is fantastic. And then he also has another increase to range. So he's a solid pilot overall for a limited time pilot. I like how he has that unique skill currently. The only thing that he's lacking is double chance step, but as we've seen, sometimes that doesn't really matter nearly as much. And also because it seems like they're really selling him on that map attack thing, double chance step doesn't even work with that. So it's kind of like, if he had it, it would have been nice, but I don't really think he necessarily needs it. Now, his actual unit, the Gundam XX, the highlights are going to be first off that map attack. Now, I did observe something. While this does have much, the coverage of this is better compared to, let's say, the Hainu Gundam, the Hainu Gundams actually still hits a little bit harder. That one has a 5040 power, whereas this one, only has 4800. However, this one has it to where the higher your MP is, the greater the weapon power increase. So this could potentially outdamage the map attack of Hainu Gundam, and could also potentially be one of the more powerful map attacks in the game. And then his twin satellite cannon EX does have a range of 4, but we do have his skill where he could, for one turn increase the range of his attacks. And the farther you are from the enemy with this one is the greater the weapon power. So again, very similar to Hainu, because this thing has a lot of similarities to Hainu. And then if we take a look at the abilities, you got increased attack. It's beefy, has a lot of HP, and then if Vigor is supercharged, you get increased move by 1, making it easier to position this unit. And then in terms of tags, the biggest selling point for this unit is that it has 2 tags currently that we have a UR limited ship, one-shot killer and ace unit. So that's a big plus for me. That's something that Hainu Gundam doesn't even have, because Hainu Gundam currently does not have any tags where we have a limited UR ship. So for me, that's a big selling point for this unit. And then it also does have shield defense, having some nice mitigation. So all in all said, my review of the banner is the true prize is going to be Garrod. Everything else on the banner is just kind of, like I said, middle of the road. They're cool if you get them. The ship is great for a non-limited, and then if you get G Falcon Leopard, fantastic. Pilot, fantastic. SSR unit. But the prize is going to be Garrod. But here's the thing. We know Anniversary is coming, and for those that keep asking, Anniversary is in April. So we really should be saving for that, even though I didn't listen to my own advice, but it is what it is. And my personal thoughts is if you already have a roster of powerful ranged units, for example, Hainu Gundam was one that I brought up a lot, I would still hold off. Maybe throw in a few pulls if you have the diamonds or resources to do so, because I know that since this is our first Gundam X type banner, and I know previously we didn't really have a lot of available units outside of development for Gundam X, there is incentives of pulling for this, so that way you have a more diverse roster specifically for Gundam X. So if you have the resources to do so, I say go ahead and throw a few multi-pulls into this. If you're a new player, I think it's a solid banner. I actually would more so recommend for a newer player, if they just started this game and they want to pull, maybe go for the Hathaway banner, because the Hathaway banner still has some pretty solid limited time URs as well. But all in all, I think this banner's solid. I don't think it's the best banner that we've seen that features, you know, a limited time UR attacker, but Garrod and his double X in himself are very powerful. And with that free map attack, there's a lot of really cool and fun things that you could definitely do, especially for maps that have like a ton of enemies and like you're kind of like on a time crunch. You know, you have like what, 4 turns sometimes, especially for like Eternal Road. You don't have a lot of turns, so something like that could definitely be useful. But that's going to go ahead and conclude my review. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comment section. My next video is going to be about a free-to-play unit that I think could definitely boost anybody's roster and something that you should gun for. It's one of the more recent ones, so that'll be the topic for my next video. Thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned for the next one, and stay blessed, everybody.